going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel where we work and modify vehicles that were engineered to drive. My name is Miguel. So today we're going to be continuing the 7AGE build for the MR2, and what we're going to be doing is building up the head. So I'm going to show you guys how to put in new valve stem seals, how to throw the valves back in, and also I'm going to show you how to perform a little trick to get the valve keepers back in that require no special service tools. You don't have to spend any money, and everybody should have this around the house. So let's get to it. Alright, so if you recall from a couple episodes ago, all of these valves are already lapped. They're already lapped for the head. They are all in order. We're going to be starting off with the intake side. As you can see, I already have the valve stem seal and the valve spring and the valve keepers back in onto intake valve number 1. So we're going to be continuing it. We're going to be doing all the valves today. I did order some new valve stem seals. They're all right here. They also came with a little protector. So that is so the inside of the valve stem seal doesn't get chewed up and it doesn't tear on this little the ridge where the keepers sit in place. So some of the basic tools that I have here are just a deep well socket. It's a 10mm. That's so I can just push the valve stem seal onto the head. Now it doesn't require much force to put that new valve stem seal on. Basically, you just set the socket around the valve stem seal, and then the pressure of your thumb is more than enough to slide it on. Okay, so I lubed up the stem of the valve with a little bit of clean engine oil, stuck it in the head, and like I said before, the valve stem seals came with this little protector. So again, I'm just going to throw a little bit of clean engine oil on the top of the valve, slide this over. Then I'm going to take my valve stem seal, slide that over this protective cover. There we go, it's sliding down the stem of the valve nicely. Then I'm going to take my socket here, and there we go. I just felt it. It's not going to be loud, it's not a loud pop or anything, but like I said, just the pressure of your thumb is more than enough. And then, because that's going to be stuck on there now, I'm just going to use my needle nose pliers to take that little protector cover off. I'm going to throw my the little seat for the spring, for the valve spring. This little thing that has to plop back in there. That's in. Then on the valve spring itself, for the 4AG application here, for the 4AG head, I'm just using stock springs, but it's going to be the same case with any other aftermarket spring that you get. So there is a, how do I say this? There's a gap. There's a gap here that's wider than the one down here. There's a narrower gap down here. I'll put it on the screen now. So what you're going to want to do is have the wider gap facing upwards. So it's going to come towards you as you're building the head. So now we're just going to throw that in. Make sure that's good. Then you have the keepers in place. What I do is because this is a stock spring, like I said, so they're not very stiff, is I just kind of go ahead and just push it down with my thumb just to kind of get them started. Just because they're pretty soft springs. Now this is the part where everybody should have this. Literally all I'm using is a piece of plastic. It is just a plastic bag. It isn't like a grocery bag or anything like that. It's like a Ziploc bag that are a little bit thicker. And the more times that you do this, so I would get probably like 2 or 3 of these. If you're going to, obviously if we're doing 16 of these, this is going to deteriorate after a while. So all I'm doing is, like I said, I started it with my thumbs. I'm taking the plastic bag and I'm placing it over the top of the valve with the keepers. Then I'm taking just a socket, a deep well socket, and putting it onto a ratchet. And what the bag is doing is it's keeping everything contained while you are pushing down with the socket. and because everything is contained, once that is down, with the help of the bag, it's going to keep the keepers in place, and it's going to wrap around the valve. Watch. That's it. Okay, as you can see, the keepers are in place. Now, like I said, that was just with a regular plastic bag, and I just doubled it up so it's a little bit thicker, but as we're going to be doing this, as we're performing this, the plastic bag itself is going to deteriorate, so make sure you have a couple of these. Like I said, this is just a regular plastic bag. A Ziploc bag will do just fine. So just to show you guys that the valve keepers are in there, I'm going to be, I don't have a plastic tipped hammer, so I'm just going to take a screwdriver and put the plastic end on the tip of the valve and smack it with a hammer, just to show you guys that the keepers don't go flying out of this thing, that they are actually in place. So, like I just showed you, the keepers are in place. These keepers are not going to be jumping out anywhere. This valve is now securely in place, and now we can move on to doing the rest of them. This is the intake side. Then we're going to be moving on to the exhaust side, and then once that is done, then that's it. It's really easy. Like I said, anybody can do it. It's cheap. You don't need any special service tools to perform this. As you can see, I just finished all 1 through 8 on the intake side and putting the valves in. Now, that took me about 20 minutes. Yeah, that was about 20 minutes. And I know before I learned how to do that trick, I was spending up to 45 minutes just on doing 1 or 2 of them. And sometimes it was even a 2-person job of having one person getting a pair of needle nose pliers on this little plate here, pushing it down, and the other person trying to feed the keepers in, and then hoping that when you release the pressure off of this with the pliers that it wouldn't fly off anywhere. So definitely a huge time saver, but now we're going to go ahead and move on to the next side and wrap this up. Okay, so now that all the valves are in, they're set in place, valve springs are back in, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you guys another method of checking to see if these valves are going to seal properly. So what I'm doing is, all I did was I just put a spark plug into the hole, tightened it up a little bit just to block off the hole. Then I just poured some water into the combustion chamber just to fill up the chamber, and all I'm doing is I'm just getting some compressed air and putting it and spraying it on the back side of the valve. What that's going to do is, if there is any type of leak that has formed, the air is going to bubble. So you're going to see where it's bubbled up if it is leaking, and if it is leaking, you obviously have to take all this apart again and lap the valve again. So that's the intake side. Here's the exhaust side. Okay, so on combustion chamber 1, for exhaust and intake valves 1 and 2, they're good. None of them are leaking. So now I'm just going to perform the same thing through all the combustion chambers, and if anything is leaking, then I will obviously find it. A couple episodes back, I did mention that I also checked the valves using Prussian blue. So that's just basically a type of compound that you can put on the backs of the valves, and once you've lapped them, you can check to see if it's got even spread of the compound, and if it's missing in some area, then that's the area that's going to leak. So then you just use the valve grinding compound, relap the valve, try again until the Prussian blue has an even splatter all the way around it. This is just a second means, a cheaper way to do it. So that is going to beat everyone. I am, however, waiting on my TRD head gasket to come in and all the ARP hardware to arrive. So sorry this was a short little video, but I just wanted to give you all that little tip on how to put your valve keepers in. Also, I do have some stickers, so if you feel like your car was engineered to drive, then hit your boy up on Instagram at right here. So this is how it looks whenever you apply it to something. I am going to try and get these printed off in white as well, but for now all I have is black. So if you want a sticker, just hit me up on Instagram, and $7 shipped to your door, and I'm cool with that. So thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to follow for more. Stay tuned for the next episode. Hopefully everything will be here so we can continue on with the build. So stay tuned. Peace.